So what do we do about people who go out of their way to try to steal our peace? And as he said, sometimes it's avoidable, sometimes it's not avoidable. The first thing we do is we recognize the person doing it. Meaning, if someone is purposely trying to steal my peace, and I don't mean, it's important actually to back up for a minute. There's a lot of times that we think people are trying to steal our peace just because they're not doing what we want them to do. That's not trying to steal our peace. That's just being themselves. We don't have the right to tell other people how to live and how to act. And so, for example, if we have a child, a parent, I mean, obviously parents have the right to tell their children the rules of the house, to give them sanskaras, to give them values. But we don't, as people, have the right to dictate how other people live. And so if you living your life as you're living it bothers me, that's my issue. Let's take a specific example. I'm a staunch vegetarian. True. I am a vegetarian proselytizer, a very, very avid proselytizer of vegetarianism and veganism. If I'm sitting at a meal with someone who eats meat, and I feel not only bothered, but I feel like they've done it on purpose just to bother me, that inner anger and frustration is my problem, not theirs. I may be 200% convinced that eating meat is wrong. It's wrong for their bodies, it's wrong for the environment, it's wrong for everything. Nonetheless, I am not the moral police. I am not the karmic police. I do not have the right to tell them what to do. I certainly have the right to share. I certainly have the right to tell them as much about vegetarianism as I want. But I do not have the right to dictate what they eat and don't. Unless they have come to my home for dinner. At which point, of course, I have every right to cook what feels right to me. But if I'm at a restaurant, or I'm at someone's house, or I'm sitting next to someone in an airplane, and what they're doing bothers me, that's my problem. And I need to work on that. But if, going back to your question, we assume, as you say, that someone is purposely trying to steal our peace. So it's not just an issue where I've taken something personally, but really they're going out of their way. The first thing we do is we really look at them with a lot of pity. If we can find compassion in our heart, we find compassion. But if we can't get to the point of compassion yet, at least we feel pity. And the reason we feel pity is the misery that they are trying to bring to you is simply that which is overflowing from their own internal misery. I cannot give misery to someone else unless I produce it inside me. We only have to give what we have. You know, the example I give almost every night is that air conditioner can only give us cold air, right? So if I'm giving you love and you feel love from me, it's because inside I'm able to generate love. But if all I'm doing is giving you misery, it's because that's what I'm generating. And so what we have to realize is that people who are causing us misery are doing it because inside they are miserable. What they have is anger, they have frustration, they have jealousy, they have loss, they have some recipe mixture of all of these things, due to which the only way they know how to move in a relationship with you, and chances are in relationship with others as well, is in a way that causes misery. So the first thing we realize is this person is suffering. Doesn't mean what they do is okay. I'm not using this to excuse or condone their behavior, but simply for us to understand it. You know, my favorite example on this is if you're walking through a park and you get bit by a mad dog. Okay? Well, first of all, we say mad when we say mad dog. Mad means literally he has rabies. That's what the word mad dog means, is a dog that's infected with the disease of rabies. Okay, so the dog has bit you. Now what are you going to do? You're going to chase the dog? You're going to bite it back? You're going to go to the hospital. You're going to get your wound bandaged. You'll probably have to get a rabies shot. But neither are you going to run after the dog, nor are you going to need therapy or psychological work because you're so upset over the fact that the dog found you and bit you. We all somehow understand that the dog was just doing what mad dogs do. Diseased dogs, they bite unprovoked, they bite for no reason. We understand I was just there, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong, cologne on or wearing the wrong color clothes that irritated the dog or whatever. I'm not going to need therapy. It's not going to keep me awake at night. Because I understand it was just a sick dog. And sadly, a lot of people live their lives like sick animals. And they go around literally hurting others. And what's important from our side is that we take care of ourselves. As you said, sometimes we avoid it, so we certainly avoid it as much as possible. If I know there's a rabid dog in that park, I'm not going to walk through it unless I have no other choice. And if I am going to walk through it, I'm going to plan in advance. I'm going to have a stick. Or I'm going to really think through it. I'll figure out what is it I can use to keep a dog at bay. I'm going to wear, knee-high boots. Impenetrable boots. I'm going to do something to protect me from that dog. And this is the same as we move through our lives. When there are people like that, we feel pity for them. We understand they are in a state of dis-ease, even if they don't actually have a diagnosable disease. They are living in a state of dis-ease. They're miserable. That's why they're hurting others. We avoid it as much as possible. But in our hearts, we're not deeply troubled by it because we understand the problem is them, not us. It's not about us. Just as it wasn't about you in the park. You happen to be the one in the place at the time to be the object getting this. Try in your heart just to see how much pity you can feel for that person. And if you can work harder to let that pity become compassion, feel sadness for them. Feel sadness for someone who only can give pain to others. And slowly, 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 what you may find is your peace and your compassion might begin to open up space in which that person can heal. It might begin to open up space in which that person can say, God, can we talk? Or God, I'm really miserable. Or God, thank you for being so understanding. I'm sorry. Whatever it may be. It may happen, it may not. Don't be attached to it. But lastly, be sure to protect yourself. Because simply being spiritual people and being able to have compassion and even love does not mean that we're prepared to have our legs turned into dog food. It doesn't mean that we're prepared to be someone's doormat. There's an inner strength that also comes with spirituality, and that's very important. So protect yourself. Do whatever you need to do to avoid the situation and then in the situation, to keep yourself from being hurt.